Probably yes. Probably not connected for some reason. But now I'm back again.
Perfect.
I'd like that we start our book
I couldn't hear you, teacher. Sorry.
structure. We,
I can't hear you, teacher.
I am back again here. Can
Hi,
you
teacher.
hear
Can you
me?
listen to me?
Yes. You hear me okay?
Uh,
Can you hear me,
Now I
Mickey?
can hear you, but I can't. I can't see you.
You cannot see
Your
me.
image is
I'm
free.
gonna turn my I'm gonna turn my camera off a little bit. Maybe that's going to improve the quality of the sounds. Can you hear me better now?
Okay, teacher. Yes, teacher, I
Can you
can.
hear me? Okay, probably
Mm-hmm.
this is better for a little bit. I'm going to present the screen, Nikki, and I'm going to present the topic of infrastructure. Infrastructure is the next topic that we're going to check. And let's begin with the general term for basic physical systems of a business. What is the definition of infrastructure, Mickey, and what do you understand by infrastructure in general?
Uh, my definition or the definition of the book?
Yeah, first your personal idea and then the definition of the book, please.
Mm, well, probably I have like a brief idea of what is infrastructure. Um, I've heard that word so many times, but infrastructure is like mm, the mix of physical things. For example, I don't know, buildings, and services too that a specific region or country has.
Yes, yes. And which are examples of infrastructure and what is good infrastructure and what is bad infrastructure, in your opinion, Mickey?
Hmm. I would say that good infrastructure, well, a country or a city with good infrastructure, it's it's a place where they have different types of services, uh, as medical service, like services, water services, Wi-Fi services, uh, different buildings of different sizes or different places to use. I don't know, for example, malls, how do you say, amusement parks?
Amusement parks.
Yeah, and museums and all different kinds of places.
That is true. That's very true. Why do you think some places, some countries, some cities have better infrastructure than others? Why some cities, like for example
Hmm.
Leon tends to have better infrastructure than Irapuato? I think. What do you think? Do you agree or you don't agree? Or in some things, infrastructure is better. In some other things,
Mm,
infrastructure is better. But what do you think in general, Mickey?
yeah, I agree with you, teacher. Probably because there are more investment of other places. I don't know. Probably there are more
There's,
uh, businesses there than here in Irapuato.
yeah,
Or yeah, in general, I think that is because there are more investment in that city.
investment. There's more investment, and there are more businesses
Hmm.
in Leon than in Irapuato. Okay. How can you tell that the infrastructure in Leon is better than the infrastructure in Irapuato? How do you notice that? Or which are evidences or examples of better infrastructure?
Uh, yeah, I think that it's easy. For example, in Leon there are more malls, there are more amusement parks, there are more buildings, uh, there are more medical services than here. There are more hospitals and schools too.
Yes,
In general,
yes,
there are more everything.
yeah, that's true. More bridges too.
Yeah,
More
more rich.
bridges, better
Yeah,
avenues.
better streets.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. More people. Okay. Now, what happens with countries like Mexico and countries like Germany that have less people, less population? However, they seem to have better infrastructure than in Mexico. Even if in Mexico we are 125 million people, and in Germany they are only 80, 84 million people. So, how is the infrastructure? How is the infrastructure of Germany compared to Mexico's? How does
Mm,
the infrastructure of Germany compare to Mexico?
yeah. Uh, Actually, a few days ago, I saw a video of Latin person living there in Germany, and he said that he pays of taxes around the 45% of their salary. But in comparison, here in Mexico, the way how they manage that money is in benefit to the country in general, and sometimes in Mexico, we don't know what's happening with the taxes that people pay normally pay.
Yeah, which the tax collection in Mexico don't think that is very high
No, apart of
tax
that, there are a lot of people who doesn't pay taxes.
low. Right, exactly. So besides tax collection in Mexico is low, um, So that is a problem for the country, right? Because then where does the country get money from? Where does the
Yeah,
government get money from?
here in Mexico, there are a lot of informal economy.
The is informal economy, yes.
There is informal economy.
That's a very important topic because when you talk about informal economy, what exactly means that?
For example, the people who sell different items on the streets, or they don't have like a place to establish. They are just selling things, or the different like little restaurants that are in the streets too. And well, in general, all those kinds of businesses.
Right.
They
Yeah,
only
that's
accept cash.
exactly. They they just take cash and pay no taxes, right?
Yeah.
However, this has a right to exist. It's very difficult for those people to have an income otherwise,
Hmm.
and they have a right to life as well. What is then the concept of social economy? When now that you mentioned the economy, the word economy, what is social economy? Is there a definition for that, or what do you think? Social economy. What exactly means that?
Social economy.
Yeah. Do you think there is a definition for this, or is an ambiguous concept, or there is no definition? There is no formal definition. What is in your mind? Social economy. What do you think social economy is?
Mm, I will define social economy as the way in how the economy is organized and works in like in a cooperative way.
Okay, very good. That's a very important comment. Let's read the definition, please. Can you read the definition here
Yeah.
please?
Social economy organizations traditionally refer to the set of associations, cooperatives, mutual organizations, and foundations whose activity is driven by values of solidarity, the primacy of people over capital, and democratic and participative governance. Mm,
Exactly. So people go before capital, right? And that's a very important concept because primacy of people over capital is not a universal concept. It's not that everyone considers as important. It's very
yeah.
common that in capitalist countries, what prevails is the capital. So
Hmm.
when you think about the primacy of people over capital and democratic and participating governance, that is something very, very important because it's not extremely common. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see about cooperatives. What is a cooperative? What is the constitution of a cooperative? What is it and how are they conformed? Can we find out, please, what is a cooperative and how is a cooperative conformed?
Yes, sure.
Let's see, please, if you can find in
Hmm.
internet how a cooperative is conformed.
Mm, okay. Can I share?
Yes, please. Yes. Okay, well, here I'm gonna show it. Formation of cooperatives, that's an interesting topic. Okay, all right, very nice. Yes, thank you.
Um, Firms such as cooperatives are formed through collective action by individuals to solve a common problem. Cooperatives work best when the solution created by the collective action leads to benefits being provided only to members, and when these benefits are unique.
Okay. Then they say that the cooperative is often formed because the cost of the make or buy decision are the lowest,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so the rights of ownership are assigned to those who use the cooperative as a customer. And let's see, some cooperatives may be examples of social entrepreneurship. In other words, by creating a cooperative, you help the people around you, and then they can solve their social, cultural, economic issues.
Hmm.
And then it says that there is a reason why cooperatives are formed. Can you read that, Mickey, please? Most cooperatives,
Yeah. Most cooperatives are formed to address an economic objective or purpose. Because cooperatives are composed of members, however, there is often a social purpose. Many members desire being a member of a cooperative. This is no different from the reason why people join social clubs, such as country clubs or professional trade associations.
right? So you want to reach an objective, and sometimes it's easier to make an association with a group of people.
Yeah, um, for example, the joint ventures for export. Probably there are companies who wants to export, but they are tiny in that moment, so they create like ventures, joint ventures, and both companies get a benefit.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Now, notice that there are many types of cooperatives, and sometimes they involve a social and a cultural purpose, which it says below. You can please read what it says. The social and sometimes cultural purpose is often linked with the formation of a cooperative. Can you
Mhm.
can you read that, Nikki, please?
Yes, the social and sometimes cultural purpose is often linked with the formation of a cooperative. Examples of these social purposes might be ethnicity, geography, or religion.
Right. Ethnicity is your ethnic group, right? You can be white, black, Asian, Hispanic,
Mhm.
etc. In geography, of course, where your location is, and religion, well, that needs no explanation. But also the utilities. The utilities, which refer to electricity, rural utility cooperatives were originally based on geography, and it is interesting how other cooperatives were formed. For example, food cooperatives. Can you continue reading after that, Mickey,
Yes.
please? I'm sorry, no, credit unions. Credit
Okay.
unions to lend money. Those were very important.
Um, Credit unions were formed around a common bond, such as geography, and fraternal benefit societies often had a common bond of religion or ethnicity. And food cooperatives often include members who want to patronize locally owned businesses and have a desire to be part of something in their community.
Okay, there is a common problem. Let me just don't lose the document, Mickey, please. I'm going to remove it for a little bit, and I'm going to share mine for a moment, and then we come back to your document, please.
Hmm.
There is a constant issue in some basic producers, and this is what I see. I don't know if you agree or not, but basic growers of anything have a production cost and a small profit. So let's say this is the production cost. Let's put it here. This will be the production cost. Then there is a small profit. It's production cost. And you will see this with an arrow. Production cost. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
There is a little margin, which is obvious. If you want to make some money, you need to have a little margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a little margin, and this margin or profit can go anywhere from 5 to 10 or 15%, but that will depend on the grower. Right? On the grower, you have a margin here. The issue is that then there is intermediary up markup. This is the intermediary markup, which is normally very high,
Mm-hmm.
or broker's markup, which is normal, right? I mean, broker's markup. You increase the price over the price of the salesman, of the grower, the producer.
Yeah.
And this is very good because you provide a service. And then finally, there is a marketeer, the person that puts the product in the market. Yeah, there is an additional profit,
Mm-hmm.
additional profit of the convenience store. So at the end, let's see some costs. Let's take, for example, barley to produce beer. Barley to produce beer. Let's suppose that the barley costs, and we have seen this example already, 5 pesos the kilogram, right? 5 pesos the
Mm-hmm.
kilogram. And then the margin you make 6 pesos. So you sell the barley at 6 or 7 pesos, 7 pesos the kilogram. Okay, but then the brokers markup collect all the barley, collect all the barley, and he stores the barley in his storage. He's a collector,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna sell the barley to the beer company at 12 pesos, 12 per kilogram. And then the beer company is gonna mass sell it and sell it to Soriana or to Walmart, and then Walmart or Oxxo will sell it at 20 pesos. Let's say not the kilogram, but for 75 milliliters, making a huge profit, right? Let's talk about kilograms. Let's say that the kilogram they sell it at 475. Let's say that they sell it at 40 pesos the kilogram because 1 kilogram is more or less more than 1 liter because it's dense. So let's say 40 pesos per kilogram. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like the cost, the weight of 2 beers. The issue here in this economy is that when the price of the beer goes up, probably from 40 to 45 or 50 the kilogram, 45 or 50 per kilogram, that's the issue. The grower of barley does not receive 1 cent more. This is it. This is the hypothesis. He does not make more money, even if the
Mm-hmm.
end product goes up drastically. Right? We have talked about this a few times. Right? More money, so it's more money for the broker, more money for the last seller, but no more money for the grower. What do you think of this scheme, Mickey?
Yeah. Well, it's something bad, but unfortunately, it's the reality.
Yeah, it's a reality, exactly. This is the reality. Now, the question is that's a very important comment, actually. This is the reality. This is the reality. Can we modify the reality? Can we modify this reality? Can we? The second one is do we want to modify it And the third is how can we do it if we want to modify? Maybe I don't want to because I am making good money, right? So, and it's legal, it's okay. So the second question is, do we want to modify it? If so, how? Right? So how do you respond to these two questions, Mickey?
Mm, yeah, probably it is possible to modify this reality, but if we really want to modify it, it is necessary to change all the system that in what we live,
Okay?
because this is something that has a long time ago working in that way, and if we want to change that, there must be a lot of changes too.
Very good.
And
Yes, it
probably
is.
the people who works in agriculture or in that in general, probably they don't want to modify it because obviously their how can I say this, their profit, yeah, uh,
Yes.
will decrease if we are really um, how can I say this, doing the good things. Obviously the profit of them is gonna decrease probably drastically, and so probably they don't want to modify it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. They will not be willing to modify because it is against their interest.
Hmm.
If I make 10 pesos in one case and I make 20 on the other case, I prefer to make 20. That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why, according to some philosophers, reality, the definition of reality, is what you do given the conditions that we didn't
Control.
choose to be in. Okay, this is a very interesting phrase, very interesting, and it's a definition by some of the philosophers. Can you read the sentence, Mickey, please?
Hmm. Reality is what you do
I'm sorry.
given the conditions that we didn't choose to be in.
What do you think of this sentence?
Yeah. uh, I completely agree. Obviously, reality is is what it is, you know,
Reality is what it is, exactly.
and involving all the conditions that we don't choose or that we don't want, but reality is that.
Exactly, exactly. Like when sometimes I go to class with my students and I
Uh-huh.
tell them something very basic, very, very even comic, but I tell them, hey, my dear students, today is today. And they laugh. They say, today is today.
Yeah.
And the issue is that it's true, right? Because there
Hmm.
is constant evolution. And then you meet a person today and he goes a different person and you go a different person because just the interaction causes a change in the other person and in yourself. Just the simple interaction
Hmm.
causes a change in you and in the other person, for good or for bad, for better or for worse, but that causes a change
Yeah, absolutely.
because there is a mutual mutual
Hmm.
influence, right?
Yeah.
Now, when there is mutual influence, which one prevails? When there is mutual influence, which one prevails
Mhm.
or has more impact because both people change, right?
Yeah, of
Which
course.
more impact, has a stronger impact. Influence has a stronger impact.
Um, Actually, I was talking with my mom yesterday, I think, about that because I was telling my mom that I think that people now in actuality could influence so easily and the majority of times for bad things. So I think that it's necessary to obviously if someone is helping you, you are gonna notice that it's helping you because your life's gonna change. But instead, if someone is affecting you in a way, I think that it's necessary uh, to have your own judgment and by yourself determine if something is good or bad for you or for the context in general.
Okay, this is very interesting. It's very interesting. If something is good or bad for you. Well, yeah, but you need to have some degree of maturity to do this. Not
Yeah.
everyone can do this. If a kid is only 5, 6, 7 years old, he
Mhm.
doesn't have the maturity to determine by himself what is good or wrong. Right?
Yeah.
This is
Hmm.
right or wrong. Let me put right or wrong. Sometimes even adults
Yeah.
cannot judge correctly if something is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes, so kids, much less, much less. Um, how do you know both situations, Mickey? Please let me ask you these two questions. How do you know that someone is helping you? How do you know that someone is affecting you in a way?
Uh, well, for me, I think that it's easy to determine because I don't know if it's I don't know my example a classmate in my school. Um, if I'm going out with him or with her, and if I'm chatting with him or with her, and probably my grades, uh, how can I say this, going up or
Improve, yes, improve.
improve, probably yeah, I could determine that she or he is helping me. But instead, if my grades are going down or uh, are being worse than other semesters, probably I could determine that this person is not helping me. Helping me.
Right, yeah, that's a very interesting comment. Now, when we talk about exerting a positive influence, okay, one important item is getting better grades. There are other elements that mean to be positive or negative for that matter. So,
Hmm.
what are other elements of positive influence besides helping you get better grades, which is important? So, we'll be a good academician then. But what else is important to get better grades?
Yeah. Uh, mm, Probably when somebody is like making you think about uh, things in general that is making you like analyze the other things, not only accept it. Probably that could help. That could be a positive influence.
Right, so they help you become more analytical in a way,
Hmm.
or strategical.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a very good comment. Yeah, that can happen. And you know, if they help you become more critical or more analytical in a way, right? And that can
Yeah.
be something positive. You know that they are helping you become more critical, more analytical, more rational in a way. Okay,
Hmm.
what else can exert a positive influence in your behavior or in your, for example, a gym instructor can give you very good tips when you go to the gym. Hey, Mickey, do this, do that, and that will make you a very good athlete or have gain muscle fast or become healthier. A good coach, a good gymnastics coach can help you drastically, right? He's giving you the techniques to become stronger or healthier, correct?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, now, when do you know that someone is exerting a potentially harmful or negative influence?
Um if someone is giving you advices of, I don't know, of how to acquire a better habit, probably of smoke, or going out to parties or to pubs, or mm, yeah, that in general.
Okay, well, this is not totally clear. I mean, smoking is absolutely clear for me. Smoking is bad for your health or detrimental. But for example, going out to parties or pubs,
Well, going out to parties and pubs, I mean like drinking alcohol, and probably if it's a habit that you don't have, I don't think that it's necessary to drink to stay with people or chat with people.
yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. However, many people exert this influence, right? They
Yeah.
tell you smoke, drink alcohol, do this, do that. Yeah, that is true.
Teacher, I'm
And
gonna move to other room because there's a lot of noise here.
okay, sure, no problem. Take your time, Nick. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Ready, Mickey?
Yes, teacher. Sorry.
No, that's okay, no problem. So we were talking about exerting positive and negative influence, and when we are talking about society and how we can modify society, and we were talking about reality and interactions, mutual influence. And so there are lots of topics that are derived from social economy, which is the important topic that we're talking about today. And this all came from the topic of infrastructure, is a derivation of infrastructure. Well, let's thank you for the comments, Mickey. Let's go back to the topic of infrastructure and
Hmm.
let's read what the function of infrastructure is. Why do we have infrastructure? What is the function? Can you read the definition, Mickey, please?
Yes, sure. Infrastructure connects households. The definition or the function?
Yeah, the definition of function, please. Yes.
Okay. Infrastructure connects households across metropolitan areas to higher quality opportunities for employment, healthcare, and education.
Okay. We're talking about three important aspects of life, which is quality opportunities for employment, healthcare, and education. Let me write it here: employment, healthcare, and education. These are three very important aspects. Employment, because everyone wants to make more money. Employment, healthcare, healthcare, and education. We all want to have a good education, good instruction. We want to have good health, and we want to have a good employment as well. Not only in terms of money or economical retribution, but in terms of a nice atmosphere, nice environment, good challenges for you to develop, and obviously doing activities that you enjoy. That's the most important thing. So, employment, healthcare, and education should be provided by good infrastructure. Will connect households to higher quality opportunities. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How does this happen? How do you generate better employment, better healthcare, and better education, Mickey?
Um, well, for example, giving the example of Leon, um, in Leon, I think that for the same reason that there are more investments, not only for the government, but from enterprises, big enterprises, or malls, or those kind of things. Uh, I think that when you invest in something, obviously there's gonna give you results, and the results of those investments are that they are more work, they are more employment, and it's like something directional, because if there are more employment, there's gonna be more services and more different kind of services, and if there's uh, more services, obviously there's gonna be more education.
Okay. Now you mentioned two sectors, which is the public sector and the private sector. What about by the social sector? Which you said a while ago that it tends to be a little bit of a formal economy or another type of economy. What happens with this sector, which is the social sector, society in general? The person in the corner that sells taquitos, the person that sells gorditas, the person that sells in the street, that sells flowers, and still moves or contributes to the economy. But from the social sector, is there such a social sector, or that is an utopia? How does that work?
Um, I have the idea that, for example, the places or the cities who have infrastructure, a good infrastructure, uh, sometimes there are two like tourist cities or tourist countries. So uh, the people who is not living there but is visiting there normally we avoid those kind of things, and in one way or another helps the social sector.
Yeah, of course. Of course. What is the problem with the social sector in terms of class, in terms of classes? It's obvious that in society there are classes,
Mhm.
and the disparity of income is quite enormous in some countries. Do we have any data about this concept, disparity of income or income inequality per country? Do we have any data for this, Mickey?
Um, Let me search it.
Yes, please. This is going to reveal some very interesting information. Very interesting information.
For example, here in Mexico or where?
Yeah, you can do it in Mexico, and you can do it in Latin America, and you can do it in the world.
Mm, I'm searching.
Yes, this is. So,
I found here a page. I'm gonna share it.
okay, thank you, Mickey. Oh, I got it here. I'm gonna see the whole screen. Okay, this is incredible information, and is incredibly sad and outstanding. And well, this is an official document. Can you read it, please?
Yes, sure. Mexico. There are 51 million Mexicans with an income below the value of the food basket. Um, Coneval estimates that there are more than 51 million Mexicans living in working poverty in the 4Q20, 40.7% of the total population. Due to the pandemic, there was a contraction of 10.3 million jobs during the is 2020?
Second quarter of
Okay.
2020.
Okay. Second quarter of 2020, which is equivalent to almost 19% of total jobs nationally, 6 million men and 4 million women.
Yeah. Imagine during the pandemic, we lost 10 million jobs during the pandemic.
Wow.
That's impressive. 10 million jobs lost. Okay, well, let's read the key points, Mickey, please. This is very important information.
Key points. Although jobs have gradually recovered by the fourth quarter of 2020, 2.4 million jobs still had to be created to reach the level observed in the same quarter of 2019. The crisis due to the pandemic increased the precariousness of wages in Mexico. In the fourth quarter of 2020, about 30.3% of the employed population with income earned more than two minimum wages, while in this same period of 2018, the proportion was 37.3%.
Yeah, that is outrageous, right? Okay, let's read the fourth quarter, please.
In the fourth quarter of 2020, working poverty in rural areas was already at the same level as in 2019, while for urban areas it was still 4 percentage points higher.
Hi, yeah, that's incredible, right?
Mhm.
Incredible how the amount of poverty what was in Mexico, right? How much poverty in Mexico increased,
Yeah.
right? And the last line,
The increasing working poverty due to the pandemic had different effects by state. Quintana Roo, Mexico City, and Tabasco were the most affected.
were the most affected.
Mhm.
Yeah, incredible, right? Labor poverty in Mexico. Oh, that's a good, interesting document to download eventually. Um, so people living in poverty is 51 million Mexicans. 51 million Mexicans. So you notice that 51 million. Let me share the screen for a moment, Mickey. Thank you very much.
Yes, sure.
Let me remove it and we'll come back to that in a moment.
Mhm.
Okay. What happens when we see this information? 51 million people, Mexicans living in poverty. It's not one or two or three, it's millions, 50 millions, almost 50% of Mexicans living in poverty. We're 125 million Mexicans, but below the necessary. Okay, this is an ugly, it's a very ugly exercise. Let's not do it for our houses, but let's talk about our school. Let's imagine that 40% of our classmates don't have enough food to eat. Looks horrible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that you are 50 students in your class or 100 students. If you are 100 students in your class, which of course I know that is less, 40 don't have enough to eat. That's ugly, don't you think? Or what do you think when you see these numbers?
Yeah, of course. That makes me sad because sometimes we always want more, and sometimes we forget that there are people who still don't have enough to eat.
Not even the basic,
Yeah.
the basic amount of the food basket, right?
Hmm.
And obviously, we can criticize the economy, we can criticize the government, we can criticize whoever we want, but you still have 51 million Mexicans living in poverty.
Yeah.
So, define reality. You still have these people in severe poverty, not eating enough. And they're people, they're not animals. Even if it were animals, that would be ugly enough. But being not only animals, but also, but not being animals, but being people, and not only being not any people, being our co-nationals, thinking that there are 51 million men to eat. I don't know how people can sleep with that. Well, because at the end, many of us we don't care. We don't care. Right? Many people don't really care, and as long as they eat. But and obviously this leads to a social problem because it's like well, the social controls that we have. That's
So
why
did
they
you?
developed of social economy. Can I take a phone call really quick, Mickey, please? Give me a second.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, no worries. Mhm.
Much, too much. Sí, bueno, bueno. Sorry, Mickey, I'm back. So, can you hear me? Mickey, hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Oh, I was talking with the microphone off. Yeah, teacher, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, no problem. Well, coming back to this issue of poverty, one of the issues that I see
I can't hear you, teacher. I don't know if it is the internet, but I can't hear you.
Growers just produce. They don't sell. They don't market, commercialize. They don't commercialize. And consequently, when the sales price goes up, they don't make additional profit because they don't have a vertical integration. So the solution to this, I suppose, is to constitute a vertical integration, which is not a necessarily antisocial procedure, right? I mean, growers just produce, they don't commercialize, so they need to integrate vertically. So produce or grow and commercialize. This is the thesis. This is the idea of improving. What do you think of this idea, Mickey?
Yeah, of course,
Commercializing products.
there will be the solution because if the growers commercial their products, obviously, they don't need to use all the process that it requires because obviously they're gonna transport the product, they're gonna distribute the product, and they're gonna sell the product. So it will be the solution. But I think that the biggest issue here is that the majority of people who is working on that, they don't have the knowledge to do it, and that's why they sell in a low price, and that's why people who have the knowledge of that take advantage of it.
Right, exactly. Obviously, there is a comment from other philosophers that they say there is no objective, there is no objective description of there is no objective description of reality. Why? Because we always speak from a position
Yeah,
of class, social status, knowledge, or other type of situation or position. What do you think of this comment, Mickey?
it is true.
Right, yeah. So when we talk about good or bad, better or worse, well, that is for who? Where are you standing, right?
Yeah,
So it is
that.
important to say vertical integration is good for the growers. Now, for whom? If I am a grower, of course. If I am a
Hmm.
marketeer or if I am a commercializer, of course, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, probably the solution is that obviously it more affects to the people who commercialize, but a solution would be like paying more to the growers. So if the price of a specific product is going up or is increasing, why you can't pay more money to the people who produce that product? That's my opinion, but of course we need to see it in an economy way, and probably they're gonna think opposite than us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, other people, you can say that if you are not in this position, if you are not in this position, if I'm not a marketeer of products, this scheme is good for me if I am a grower or if I am not a commercializer, a marketeer. In other words, if I am external to the problem, I can easily recommend this solution, right?
Yeah.
If I am not part of the commercialization,
Yeah, of course.
if I am like in this box, if I am here, if I am, this is the world, this is the world. world. These are the marketeers. Marketeers. These are the growers. Growers. So if I am in the blue area, I'm gonna put it brown, not brown here. If I'm in the brown area, or if I am in the yellow area, I can easily recommend that growers have a vertical integration. If I am green, or I'm sorry, if I am brown or yellow. But if I am blue, of course, it's a terrible idea to state that vertical integration is good, right? Because that goes against my interest.
Yeah, of course. Hmm.
Mm, I don't know if that comment has any flaws or deficiencies, or maybe there is something that is not complete. How do you see this diagram, Mickey?
Mm, it's interesting because, as you said, we are talking and we are giving ideas, but from our point of view, and because we are not involved in all that. Because
Exactly.
if we are part of the marketers, probably we're gonna think in a completely different way, and if we are part of the growers, probably we're gonna agree. But we need to think that the people who works on that, obviously, they have their families, they have their uh, how do you say this? Um,
The kids, their
their bills, their
the
everything.
bills.
Yeah,
Yes,
of
yes,
course.
yes.
So,
Exactly.
but it's interesting. I like
Yeah.
to talk about that.
Okay. Very good, Mickey. Very
Hmm.
good. Well, let's finish here today. We had an
Yes, sir.
interesting conversation. It's a pity Mitch didn't join us, but probably she was busy or something. But maybe tomorrow in the morning we can continue with the chat. I don't know what would be a good time. Maybe 9, or is 9 too late, or 9 is okay. I imagine that 10 is already too late, right? But maybe 8:30 or 9.
Yeah, probably around 8:30 could be good for you, teacher.
8:30. Okay, 8:30. Let's schedule it for 8:30. All right,
Mm.
8:30. So I'm gonna send a message
Okay, teacher.
stating that I'm gonna send a message saying that 8:30 is the time to meet tomorrow, Mickey.
Yes,
Yes.
sure. For tomorrow, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mickey. Take care. See you. Enjoy.
Okay, teacher.
Have a
Thank you for
wonderful
your
day.
time.
See you tomorrow. Take care.
You
Bye.
too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoy.